And Primary Industries Minister Dean Howlett recently announced $4.8 million in additional drought funding.
It's like watching a slow motion train wreck. I mean, where am I going to get the money for, to pay for my hay? So, help. Just a little bit of help, just enough to get by.
As hard conditions continue with little sign of relief, Rural Alive and Well is urging farmers to watch their mental health.
Just reach out and we'll come to where you are, and happy to have those conversations.
Meg Powell, ABC News.
It's a different story in parts of WA where after the dry start, the southern grain belt's crop outlook has been given a boost, with late winter rains turning fortunes around for anxious growers. Research indicates grain producers could deliver a 17 million tonne harvest, up on early estimates. While some areas are still struggling with below average winter rain, farmers are hopeful the recent wave of cold fronts will continue into spring.
What a difference rain can make. Last month, Simon Thomas was kicking up dust on his farm at Pingrup, 4 hours east of Perth.
This is drier than average, but given that we've had a little bit of rain, it's better than it has been.
During WA's wettest months, the winter rainfall has flipped the normal patterns, with the northern grain belt receiving record rains, while the southern regions have experienced falls well below average.
Yeah, well, winter's a good time to have your dams filling up or getting full, and we haven't had any runoff of significance.
Now, after a series of late winter weather systems, optimism is gradually replacing concern.
Things are starting to brighten up, the sheep feed, the crops, everything's responding well to the moisture.
The crops definitely struggled during the dry June period. We're still going to need an extremely kind spring, but I guess we're back in the game, I suppose.
A sentiment backed by new data showing WA's harvest outlook has lifted.
From a situation 5 or 6 weeks ago, it wasn't too good at all. In fact, we're looking at total tonnage for the state to be well down. It's now up around somewhere between 17 and 18 million tonnes of grain, of all grain, West Australia.
To reach the potential of a 17 to 18 million tonne crop by harvest, growers are hoping that rain events like this weekend will continue to arrive over the next 2 months.
You can only hope.
All eyes on the radar and the crucial weeks to come. Mark Bennett, ABC News, Newdigate.
The Commonwealth has granted environmental approval for a 12,000 hectare solar farm in the remote Northern Territory, pitched as the world's largest renewable energy project. The Sun Cable project will cost more than $30 billion and plans to transport electricity to Singapore via Darwin. It's now been signed off by the federal government after the NT government gave it the green light last month. The project still has a number of hurdles to clear, including negotiations with Indigenous landowner groups and a final investment decision in 2027. Federal Environment Minister Tanya Plibersek says the landmark project could transform energy production in the NT.
It is really transformative for the Northern Territory. It'll generate jobs, it'll bring wealth, it'll give us whole new export industries from the Northern Territory.
The woman charged with murdering 3 relatives after feeding them a deadly meal of beef Wellington and poisonous mushrooms will face a trial next year. The case made global headlines after Erin Patterson served the meal to family members who went to her house for lunch. This week in Victoria's Supreme Court, it was announced Ms Patterson's trial will take place in late April in the regional Victorian town of Morwell. Ms Patterson has pleaded not guilty and has previously denied trying to cause any harm to her loved ones. Salmon industry representatives headed to Canberra this week to lobby the Prime Minister. They're worried about the future of salmon farming in Tasmania's Macquarie Harbour and the jobs it provides. The nation's Environment Minister, Tanya Plibersek, is reconsidering salmon licences in the area to potentially protect an endangered fish from extinction.
Salmon industry worker Adam Saltmarsh is fearful of his future.